This podcast is recorded at the Zone Gym studio.
You're listening to the Raw Reality Podcast hosted by Tori and Fit with Lily. Hello guys and welcome back to the Raw Reality Podcast. It is T-Swizzle here. It is just me today because there's a bit on at the moment, and so I'm currently on the Gold Coast and it's Sunday. This episode goes out tomorrow, and that has been the theme of 2025. And honestly, we were just talking about before, Lily and I, how we probably should have done a mid-season break, but I'm not sure how we've gotten through every single week this year. But nonetheless, we are so proud of ourselves for doing it, considering being long distance and prep and me being overseas. Like, I honestly don't know how we've done it, but we're here and we're not stopping. But in hindsight, we were like, yeah, probably could have taken a break, but we will take some time off over Christmas. But Lily is literally in the peak of prep. This is peak week. So she has states this week, which is honestly so crazy. And I'm so excited for her. And I am devastated that I can't be there to watch, because I honestly don't know how it somehow all worked, but like low-key kind of has it, because Lily competes, I'm pretty sure it's Saturday. Let me just confirm. Yeah, Saturday. And then I have a competition Saturday night as well. It's just like a club comp. And then Jackson has his grand final Sunday because the boys won on the weekend, their prelim. So they are into the grand final, which is in Melbourne. So Jackson and I will be in Melbourne on the weekend. Lily has states in Queensland. And then we pretty much swap, where my nationals is the following weekend in Gold Coast and Lily's nationals is in Melbourne. So we literally swap. But I'm pretty sure she is going to make my nationals. I just can't make hers because I fly to the Gold Coast the day of her comp. So anyway, it's a whole thing. But you best believe I'll be watching on the live screaming. But yeah, I'm not going to explain it for her, but basically like high cardio, low calories, like she's getting through. So I thought I would jump on and do a solo episode today, which I've been wanting to do anyway. But to give you a little update on my life, basically I've had 2 weeks now, I think. Yeah, I had 2 weeks in Melbourne since I actually don't even know. I feel like it's just all blending into one, but Jackson was in Melbourne not too long ago. And then I also feel like I was in Gold Coast not too long ago, but also haven't been here in so long. But I've been plodding along, getting along through training. I've been still loving training, and we've just like got that last push until nationals. So last week was pretty hard. We're not doing a peak lead up like we did for Europe. Obviously going to nationals isn't as big as a World Cup, so we don't need a massive push, but we still have increased quite a bit. So we've got a semi-hard week this week, and then it'll start to drop off next week as we lead into our comp in nationals. In the Gold Coast. But yeah, it's been a couple of rough weeks. I feel like after I had my 10-day stint in Gold Coast after coming home from the World Cup, I was like, I'm going to go back there and I'm going to be fine. I'm going to suck it up. No complaining. Like, I chose this kind of vibe. And I did do not too bad until last week, where I just could not shake the emotions of like just feeling so sad that I just like wasn't at home and not with Jackson, and like loving training, but equally still felt like it was an escape, because most of the day is spent on my own, just like working. And I have chose that. Like, a lot of people have said, oh, have you made friends in Melbourne? And to be completely transparent, like, I haven't bothered, to be honest, because I knew I was only going to be there for a certain period of time, or like I am there for a certain period of time. And I just, to be completely honest, don't have the energy of the small talk and the, just like getting to know someone, because I also have a lot on with work. I've been traveling so much, and I've been prioritizing like sleeping in, slower days. And this week was like, you'll see it in this week's vlog, but very much just giving myself permission to like do nothing and rest. And luckily this was probably the quietest 2 weeks that I've had in a very long time with my work. Training's been usual, but I haven't had travel, I haven't had deliverable after deliverable. I've had a couple, which I like obviously prioritize and get done. And then other than that, I'm like, hey, let's actually not force myself to do work and actually just chill out for a second. So that was this week's vlog is coming, or is out if you're listening to this after Tuesday. But I just like didn't want to pick up the camera. I didn't want to be talking on Instagram. Like, I just didn't want to be showing up, because there's a bit going on as well that I'm just like keeping to myself for now. But I just was like, I don't even know what to film. And then I was like, you know what? let's actually just film me doing nothing, because we need to normalize the fact that not every day is sunshine and rainbows. We're not like constantly pushing. And sometimes it is more productive to take a step back than it is to continue to push and burn yourself out. And I know that after nationals, like it's going to pick up again. So I'm just like, hey, you know what? It's actually a blessing. Let's use these 2 weeks to chill out. And it's been nice. It's been really, really nice. So I head back to the Gold Coast tomorrow. I've had a beautiful weekend here on the Gold Coast. Obviously, as I said, Jackson won footy prelim yesterday. So the boys will be in Melbourne next weekend for the grand final, which I'm so excited about. And everyone, please just keep your fingers crossed, because these boys deserve a flag. They were just shy of a win last year in the grand final. So I just like everyone, fingers, toes, cross them, please. Thanks. But the episode I wanted to talk about today, and honestly, yes, majority of it is based around sport and this chapter that I've had in 2025, but there are so many things that we can all take from it, whether it be in sport, career, relationships, whatever it is. There's so much you can take from it that's not sport related, but in this instance, I have related it to sport. So I really want you to listen to what I'm saying, note things down, whatever you need to do, but try and take what you can from it, even if it isn't sport for you, if that makes sense. So basically, it is what you can learn from my chapter 25, because obviously, as we know, this year has been something that wasn't on my bingo card. It wasn't on the vision board initially at the start of the year, but it is an opportunity that came up that I couldn't miss, and just something that I knew I had to do for me. And I know I've said a lot of times, like, acro isn't necessarily my future anymore. It's not, I'm not doing it to go and compete for another 10 years. I'm not doing it because I'm going to go coach for another 10 years. Like, it was literally for me and my soul to just finish off this chapter and actually do it on my terms and feel good about it and create good memories and just like close that chapter the way I've always wanted to. And it's been everything and more. So I've written down 8 things that I've learned specifically that I've kind of been writing out over the last few months, because I've just been reflecting on it. So the first thing first, and I think this is super important, again, not just in sport, but in life, is take on every piece of advice, listen and adjust accordingly, and always be open to accepting feedback. Now, this was like the top number one thing, because I have really noticed coming back into sport as an athlete, as an adult athlete, is reflecting on how I used to be an athlete when I was younger, say early teens, late teens. It was very much, I'm always right. You can't tell me I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, I don't want to accept feedback because it's going to crush my ego, and I want to be perfect all the time, and constantly having that kind of fight back from your coach or whoever was giving you feedback. And this time around, I have been looking for as much feedback as possible, because when you can understand that you can learn from all the people around you, all the people in your industry, all the people, whether it's in your sport or in your work, and take on as much feedback as possible, you're going to be the best boss, the best person, the best partner, the best athlete, whatever it is. And so for me, every time a coach would give me a correction, I was intently listening. I'm always saying thank you. That is something that I am so big on. I think because I've also now been a coach for since I've been coaching since I was like 12, but owning my own business and coaching nonstop since I was 20, and I'm now 25, is having respect for your coaches and also having respect for your athletes as a coach. And so I know what it's like from both ends. So always just wanting to make my coaches feel respected and always saying thank you for feedback and making sure that you're really intently listening, because I know now when I was a younger athlete, I'd be like, oh yeah, I don't want to listen to that because that means I'm not perfect or whatever it is. And you kind of reject it. And I know what that's also like receiving as a coach. And I'm like, it doesn't feel very good. So I just have that like different perspective now. But the more feedback you can take on, the better you're going to be. And if you can always commit, and I've said this multiple times on Instagram, on the podcast, if you can commit to being the student, no matter where you are in business, no matter where you are in sport life, you're always going to learn so much more. If you constantly think that, oh, I'm at the top of my game, I literally can't learn anymore, then you're actually capping yourself and you actually cannot get any further, because you can always continue learning. Okay, that was the biggest thing. And just not to get defensive and think that you're always right, because again, you're not. And there's always someone above you that you can learn from and take ample notes from. And that is just one of the biggest things that I have learned coming back into sport as an athlete. As an adult athlete. Number 2 is accept failures and setbacks as learnings and lessons. Now, again, another big thing that we talk about in the pod is really not looking at things as failures and I fail, I'm going to quit now, or I should give up on that because it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Just know, for one, that things always work out the way that they're meant to. And using myself as an example, back in 2019 when I retired from the sport initially, it was not the way that I had planned. I had planned to go to 2020 Worlds and I had planned to do really successful or be really successful at that Worlds and give everything I could. But in 2019, my body completely fell apart. I ended up depressed with PCOS, severe acne, weight gain, like completely 180. And obviously at the time I was like, well, I've failed everything. I'm not the person I was. I can't go back, yada, yada, yada. The stories continued. But then also early 2020 is when the pandemic started and everything got cancelled. There was no Worlds, there was no nothing. And I could have pushed myself to that point and completely broke myself down for then not even to make it. But instead, I had to just fully listen to my body. I think it was like, I want to say July 2019 was when I decided to step back. So I got that extra 6 months of trying to rest and trying to get my body back in shape mentally, physically, emotionally. And so it's just constantly looking at those things. It's like, let's not always look at it as failure and that you've quit and that you've given up, because there's always going to be a turning point in some way or another. And I'm just back here 5 years later doing it again the way I wanted to. But a big thing for this point was, why did I write study? We're not studying. But if you can understand your failure and the setbacks and take on every little thing to be better when you come back. So say you're at work and you've had a really bad day and your boss has cracked it at you because you didn't hand in a certain contract on time, or you didn't get something done in time, or you couldn't sign a lease, like whatever it is that you do, and your boss has cracked it at you and you just want to throw in the towel and give up. That's going to teach you for something later on. That's going to teach you something for the next job that you're going to have, that you may need to be super diligent with your work, super diligent with your time to make sure things are on. So the biggest one for me was when we were at the World Cup in both Germany and Poland. You guys know in Germany we didn't come out with the result we wanted. So we placed second on day 1, third on day 2, and then we went into finals sitting, I'm pretty sure it was third, or second even, and we ended up placing 5th. So we went into finals with high hopes of getting a medal, and it just didn't go that way, because you have to be really smart in this sport, and once you make it to finals, that's what counts, because everything you did in qualifications day 1 and 2 is scrapped and you start from 0. So your finals routine, you need to work smart. You need to work basically play the game and get your value and your difficulty score as high as you possibly can, basically, because that's where every other team in the world is going to come in with. And that's where we went wrong, is we had a very nice, amazing, clean finals routine, but our difficulty was just not there. And so moving into Poland, we took on every piece of feedback. We were speaking to judges and coaches and getting every little thing that we could to improve into Poland. We added a little skill that fortunately we could add within like 3 days of training, because usually that does not happen and you can't just add in a skill 2 days before a comp. So we were fortunately enough able to do that because we just didn't have it in our finals routine. And that put our difficulty score up, which meant we were able to walk away with a silver medal. Now, if we added that value in from the get-go, we also probably would have placed in Germany as well, but we wouldn't have cleaned up the little things. We wouldn't have made our dance so much more seamless. We wouldn't have fixed our catches of our skills and all these little things that we just wouldn't have done or paid attention to if we had a medal in Germany. And obviously it was completely bittersweet. Like obviously it was amazing competing for Oz and being in Germany, but not walking away with the outcome that we wanted and that we walked in there with was super disheartening, but it gave us so much more fire to continue and keep pushing. And we were able to claim that in Poland, which was amazing. But it's really just looking at these setbacks as fire to push you forward, whether it's in a different direction than you originally thought or whether it's going to give you that extra motivation to keep going. because at the end, that outcome is going to be so much more worth it when you can find that little bit of extra power and fire within you. And then on the flip side of this, when we're going through setbacks or quote unquote failures, that there is so much more life outside of sport. And this is another thing that I've learned, obviously, over my time of retiring in 2019, having 6 years out of the sport, focusing on business, finding a partner, getting a dog, starting to build a family, creating a home, and doing all these little things that have made me realize how much life there is outside of sport, which in the beginning and early days and younger, when I was younger, I just did not see because I was so caught up in my sport and so obsessed with it, which is obviously amazing. But I just didn't think that there was anything outside of that. So that came down to a massive identity shift coming out of that at 19, which I feel like is another episode in terms of identity crisis and things like that within sport, which Lily and I have something lined up for that as well. But that was the biggest thing that I've learned. And so again, going into comps this year and even using Germany as another example, we placed 5th in Germany and 2nd in Poland. After Germany, after not placing, tears for like, a good couple of hours, just like so disappointed and disheartened. The next day, feeling a bit flat. But by the time we started training in Poland and getting things on, like you kind of completely forget about that setback and you've just completely grabbed that motivation to keep going and ran with that. And then Poland, we placed 2nd, so amazing. There was more tears, of happy tears though. And, for about a day, 2 days, you're on that high. It's amazing. You come home, everyone congratulates you and celebrates you. And then you keep going. And one of the biggest things, and it's something that Ome said on our podcast as well, with our interview with her, is like you celebrate the loss as much as you celebrate the win. And obviously they're completely different emotions and you go through different feelings with each of them, but they kind of go on as long as each other and then you get on with it. It's like the boys, for example, footy players. Let's say Jackson had a loss this weekend. They lost the prelim. They don't make the grand final. They would probably be on a bender right now, a couple of days on the piss, drinking their sorrows, whatever. But you kind of get on with it within a few days, maybe a week. They go next weekend, they win the grand final. The same thing's going to happen, but different emotions, yes. But it's just like that massive learning of like, hey, you actually kind of go through it for just as long as each other. Yes, it's completely different, but it's also the same in the sense that you celebrate the loss, you celebrate the win, and you kind of move on with it. And that's been a big thing that I've learned, again, coming out of sport, going back into it, is knowing that, hey, we didn't come first in Poland. We still came 2nd in an incredible lineup, and I get to walk away super happy and proud, but now I just move on with my life. And I don't know, it's just kind of a bittersweet feeling after, again, spending so much time in the sport, thinking that that's all there is to life, is whether you're basically winning or not, which is just not the case. Number 3 is if you have an itch, go and scratch it. So there's only a period of time in your life where you can go and be an athlete or you can chase a certain career. If you have that itch and you have the opportunity to go and take it, I cannot express enough how important it is for you to go and do that. Because as I said so many times, going into the season with competing again, I would have much rather fail than not tried at all in this season of my life, because I know how much I would have regretted not going back and finishing this chapter for me, and how happy it's made me, and how almost I've felt so much closure in being able to move forward when that happens without the sport, knowing that I have truly gone in and just had that one more chance. And that's just been so important to me. So if you had that opportunity to go and do it, wouldn't you much rather say you tried, and no matter the outcome, you've gone, you've done it, you've experimented, then sit here for the next 5 to 10 years going, oh, what if I'd have done that? Maybe I should have tried this. Maybe I could have done that. I don't live with the what ifs. I don't like it. It feels icky. I want to get out there and I want to experience it, because I know if I had got 2 months into Melbourne, and yes, it would have sucked for everyone, but if I was like, I absolutely cannot do this, I tried. I literally gave it my all, and it's the same up until this point now. Like, I have given it so much. It's been so hard in so many ways. It's been so rewarding in so many ways, but I have gone and done it. And I think there's so many people who get super comfortable in their job as, I don't know, a 9 to 5 at an office. They get super comfortable as a PT because that's just what they grew up and that's what their parents did. Or they've gone to uni to study something because, again, their parents want them to, or because they felt that pressure was on them, when in reality they want to go and be a cartoon on a TV show, right? And so if there is an opportunity in your life to chase something that you really want to do, whether it makes sense to anyone else or not, I really encourage you to try that, because again, we only have one life, and I do not want to sit here in 30 years' time and go, wow, I should have done this, I should have done that, because I just want to do it all. I want to experience it all, and that's what we're here for, is to experience it all. I don't want to spend my life going through the days being like, oh, we'll just get through and do what we can, and being scared of not making enough money or not having enough freedom. Like, you kind of have to go out there and chase that and make it work as you go. Because again, I had no idea how I was going to make this year work with flying back and forth and then my work. And I was like, you know what? We say yes because that's what I wanted to do, and we figure it the fuck out later, because that's a later me issue. And that's just how I've been navigating my life for the last few years, probably since I moved to Adelaide and made that, leap. I was kind of like, well, I can literally do whatever I want and I will figure it out. And that just kind of always comes down to self-trust as well. So yeah, if you have an itch, go and scratch it, because we all learn so much. And even if it doesn't work out, and even if it wasn't what you wanted, now you have that definitive answer. Number 4 is don't tie your identity or personality to your success. Now, again, this can become in the route of sport, and maybe you're an athlete listening to this and you have tied so much of your identity to your success, because hey, I've been there. Or maybe you're super high up in your job and you've crawled all the way up and you've literally worked your ass off to get where you are, and now you feel like you can't step down, you can't change jobs, you can't change careers, because you have tied the person that you are to that success or to that job title, to that sport. And for me, again, yes, I came into this sport and doing one last chapter and one last season to do it for me. But I know that I wouldn't have done it if the opportunity wasn't there to be competitive internationally, because for me, that would have been a waste of time, if that makes sense. And I knew that going back and being in my old childhood gym and having this experience was going to be amazing, but I also wanted to do it to be competitive, because that's the type of person I am. But again, I was so okay with the fact that I could go over there, because again, we've only had 4 months of training and not medal. And I was truly okay with that, but I knew we were still going to be competitive over there and be able to learn so much, whether that be in the sport moving forward, or again, just traveling, meeting other coaches, meeting other athletes, making friends, making connections overseas, which again is something like super important to me. And so when you get stuck in the trap of having your identity attached to your success, it kind of makes every setback feel super personal. And you go into that self-blame. Well, I'm the only person to blame. I can't do this, I can't do that. And then you go into this self-doubt, and then it just spirals down and it continues on. And if you can kind of flip that and still work as hard for the success and for the victories, for the wins, for the promotions, whatever it is, you start to see yourself as a complete person rather than the outcomes, because you know that success and getting a promotion and winning a medal and getting on the Australian team, getting a pay rise, that takes hard work and dedication. So when you can start to see yourself for all those things that you're putting into your job, rather than just kind of dismissing that and going, oh, well, I'm only successful if I get this job, this pay rise, or if I make the team. But know that you're actually successful for the hard work that you're putting in and the dedication, the time that you're putting in, the sacrifices that you're making for all of these things, because at the end of the day, that's what makes you who you are. And those things that you build along the way to success is what makes you the person that you are. And especially, for athletes, because again, it's just been my whole life basically. You meet people and you look at people and other athletes and you're like, yes, it's amazing and I'm congratulating them for their success and their medals or whatever they've done, but I'm looking at how much time and effort they've put into their sport, into themselves, the way they eat, the way they sleep, their routine, the way they get up every single day and chase, their dream, no matter how much they don't want to get out of bed or whatever it is. You're looking at all of those things, and I think we can get so much in our head of just the success and what that looks like rather than what it actually takes to get there. And so that's just been a huge thing this year, and not putting everything on the success or not. And in saying that as well, this mindset is going to take you so much further because you will build and build and build and try and get the success. And then if you don't succeed, you feel like a failure and we're going back to step number 2, whereas it's like accepting failures and setbacks and things like that. And if you can have this mindset of like, hey, look what I'm building, regardless if I succeed or not. And that is just what is so, so important, because I know spending so much of my life as an athlete has taught me so much moving into business, into relationships, into whatever it may be, the hardships is getting me through my life and what I've learned. So just again, taking on everything, turning it into a positive, changing your perspective is going to be the biggest thing moving forward for you. Number 5, which we always talk about, consistency beats intensity. Now, I would say coming back as an adult compared to when I was younger, so different in so many ways. But for this specific reason is I have been able to push myself more mentally than physically, whereas back then I struggled so much to push myself mentally over physically, because physically I was like, oh, I can do whatever, but my mind would always give up before my body, which is so common. And something I always focused on when I was a coach is trying to get them to understand is like your mind's going to give up before your body can. If you can push your mindset, your body will go so much further and you'll be so surprised of what you're actually capable of. And so coming into the sport now at 25, after going through some injuries, really still heavy on the health focus, is, hey, I actually probably can't push as much physically. So let's be smart about it, because I know that health comes first. I don't have time to get injured. I can be super smart about this. I also really know my body now because I've taken so much time to discover it and learn it, that I can make those choices for myself. And mentally, I've got myself. Like mentally, I was checked in and I was there. And I just had to be smart about what I was doing throughout my training. And if I was consistent with that, even if, say, it was maybe less reps, but they were better quality, that was going to get us so much further than just pushing to the absolute max, burning out, hurting my body, making things worse, and just being super smart. And I think that's something we can all take into account as we get older, is if we can really understand our body. And I encourage the younger generation to this as well, but I think you're a bit younger, you're a bit fresher, that you can afford to push yourself that little bit more. And of course, everyone's different, but for me and where I stand in this current moment, I've had to be really smart this year about how far I push my body, because I know what it can and can't handle. And I've gone through the thick of it to be able to get to this point. And really just being reliable, showing up and doing the work, even when it's not glamorous and it's not sparkles and sunshine, is what's going to separate you from the rest. So again, if this is in sport, if this is in business, maybe everyone in the office is having a really shit week, you haven't hit your KPIs, whatever it is, you can continue to show up, bring that energy and be that light in the office. And that's going to push yourself and everyone else around you so much further. That's what I try and do. There's moments where everyone is so flat in the gym because we are so exhausted. But if you can bring that energy and try and change the mindset of everyone and really flip their perspective, everyone has a much better training session. And sometimes everyone gets through warm up and it's a little bit slow, and then we start to pick up again because we're into it and we're moving. And so often myself and my acro partners notice how sometimes we can come in and we are so flat and just don't want to get through it. But once we move and get through warm up and get our bodies moving, we feel so much better. And it's truly just like flipping that perspective and being like, hey, we actually can do this no matter how tired we are. Let's be smart, let's make it happen and show up. And every single day. And that's just proven the work that we've put in the last 7 months to get us where we are, be consistent, medal and do all the things, over trying to just smash ourselves into the ground. So that's been a big one, and something I wish I could have learned a lot earlier. Number 6 is take care of your mental and emotional state. Listen to your body, which kind of rolls off the back of number 5, but your mindset and your mood can obviously really affect your performance. And yeah, I feel like I've already kind of rolled off all of this, but learning to recognize when you need a break, when to push, how hard to push. I think that's something that this generation would be very, very different compared to, let's say, maybe 10, 15 years ago, or even I remember when my coaches were training or when my mum was training, they were pretty ruthless. Like they would have no sympathy, or they would just push, 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 push. Whereas I feel like this generation is a little bit different. It does need to be a little bit more gentle. But again, if you want the results and you want the success, you need to put in the work. And if you're in sport, you're in an elite level, high level sport, you know what it takes to get there. There is no bypassing the hard work in order to get to results, but you need to be super, super smart in understanding your body, especially as females. Again, working with and around your cycle can be so beneficial. Yes, there are sports like bodybuilding and things like that where you literally don't get a say whether you're in a period or not. You need to get your protocols hit. But there are so many sports where we can work around it, be super smart, build our bodies up, and be super strong in other areas to support different seasons of your life, which as females, again, is always going to change. But even as males, if we can really listen to our bodies and push rather than just go bang it to the finish line, full steam ahead, but crash 30 meters out, I'd rather go a little bit slower and still end up winning the race because you've taken your time and done it correctly. Again, something I wish I could have learned a long time ago. Number 8, and is our final one, is building a support system and trusting it. I honestly could have not had the success that I've had in life, whether that be business or sport, without the support system around me. And having, firstly, my coaches and my parents are like my rocks through my whole competitive athlete career, still are now that I'm back in it. And just having that system behind me, coming back this season, I was vlogging the other day and I completely forgot the word, but my coaches have been very, understanding, but not adaptive. Oh my God, I couldn't think of it the other day and then it popped up randomly in the car and now I can't think of it again. But they have worked with me to make this season happen, to be able to fit my work in, to fit my travel in, to kind of roll with my life. And I'm so grateful that we've been able to have the season we've had whilst also having the commitment to my work and things like that. And again, there's no way I could have gotten through all of this year without Jackson or even my closest friends, Lily, Taylor, Riley, Soph, Christina, without having those girls to be my soundboards on those really hard days where I didn't want to do it, or being able to go into the gym and just being like to my coaches, hey, today's not a good day, or going in the next day and being like, hey, today's freaking awesome. I can push a little harder today. And just like having those people around you through life, through sport. And yeah, there was a period of time where I didn't have that. And it was very much just my mum or just my dad, and grateful to have that. But now having the support system that I do, oh my gosh, I could never live without them. And so knowing that it may take you some time to find your people, and we speak about this all the time, like finding friends in your 20s and doing all that sort of stuff can take some time. And I think when you go from high school to early 20s to mid 20s, you're really discovering yourself and understanding who you are as a person, what you like, what you don't like. And so until you can figure that out, you're probably not going to find your people, because you might find them and then realize you're completely different and then you just don't get along or whatever it may be. But it's really, the first thing is understanding yourself and what you do and what you don't like, which takes time. But putting in the work on yourself is going to help you find the people that add to your life and don't feel like they drain it or take it away, or this big energy drop when you hang out with them and things like that. And having those people around you throughout life is so super important. And again, it's been so incredibly helpful in this season of the season I wasn't expecting, basically. But between my parents, my coaches, my teammates, and then my best friends, there is no way I could have got through this year without them. And I'm so grateful. But these are just the few things that I've really just wrote down over the last few months, and being able to dial in on these things, because again, this season has been massive for me. Going and competing for Australia, coming second at a World Cup after 4 months of training, running 2 businesses, doing long distance, traveling interstate. I can't even explain how crazy this year has been, but it's truly because I decided that I needed to do this for myself. And that was the most important thing. And, if I had a daughter and she comes to me when she's 20 and she's like, hey, I need to go and do this for myself, I'm going to be that parent that's like, hey, you do what you need to do, and I'll be there every second step of the way. Not every second, every single step of the way, because I've been there and I've done that. And I know that I don't stand here and live life with my regrets, because I can't afford to. Like, I want to live the fullest life. And when I sit there at the end and I go, wow, I've truly done it all. Like, that is what inspires me. And being able to sit down with my kids when they're like 13, 14 and be like, hey, mom, like, what was your 20s like? I'm like, well, sit down and grab the popcorn and let's watch some YouTube videos, shall we? And talk about it, because I just can't wait for. But that's what makes me so happy. And just being able to have these stories and memories and create the fullest, happiest life of love and freedom and success and setbacks that have got me to where I am are just so important. So I hope I haven't rambled. I hope you can truly take something from this. I would love to know what resonated with you. So please send me a DM, share it on your story, tag us, whatever it is. But yeah, I would love to know if this resonated with you in some way, shape, or form. Let me know if you love the glasses, my new blue light glasses from Princess Polly. But I'm going to leave that there because I could probably keep rambling. But I love you guys so, so much. And also just your support in this season. Like, the amount of DMs I got when I first moved to Melbourne and decided to take this on, of people being like, hey, you've inspired me to take on this opportunity, or I'm in the same boat doing long distance, competing, whatever it is. Like, you guys mean more to me than I think you know. And the support throughout this season of the ups and the downs has meant the absolute world. So I'm very, very grateful. And yeah, there's so much to come, but I love you guys so much. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we will be back in your ears on Thursday for a mini episode. And then you'll hear from Lily and myself next week. Love you all. Mwah. Bye.